Another picture perfect day in Cairns. Yeah, pretty overcast. Yeah, bombed out at the ejection shop, tried to find the curtain glides, the little plastic things that go between where the hooks go through. It's got a hole in it. They don't stock them, don't think many people do, but you can see the weather's terrible today. Couldn't have picked the worst time to leave the flat, I think. It's just got, I'm actually at the fairgrounds here, a little showgrounds, and they've got a bit of a canopy there, so provides a bit of protection. Another couple just next to me. Look at that. Yeah, not the best day to go for a walk. Hello everyone, it's Sunday around midday, just before, and I'm a bit seedy. I had a little bit too much to drink last night, but I've been a lot worse in the past, so I'm doing okay. Just going to take it easy today, and I won't be drinking that much tonight, I assure you. Once bitten, as they say. Yeah, there was a successful launch of a satellite, Vandenberg Air Force Base for SpaceX yesterday, and it seemed like everything seemed to go pretty well. The only thing is that it wasn't SpaceX who was doing the commentary; it was NASA, and boy, it was hard to handle. And there was a few negative comments in the on the video. I was one of them. Yeah, I thought it was right over the top and schmaltzy and overproduced as usual. NASA seems to be more of a PR firm than an actual space agency these days. They certainly don't do that well in the space aspect of the SLS, which is supposed to take the astronauts to the moon, had huge cost overruns and delays, and of course Boeing's involved. So why are we surprised? But SpaceX do a much better job of covering a launch. They cut out all the BS, and it's actually run by the actual engineers themselves. So it cuts out all the middleman garbage. You don't need that. I mean, these people, they've found quite presentable people from SpaceX who can put two words together. They look okay, they sound okay, and they impart direct knowledge to the viewer. I think it's a much better model. So I would personally advise NASA to probably get back to maybe putting more effort into quality control and contract checking than PR. It might do us all a big favour. Anyway, I didn't do this video just to bitch about NASA, although I'm not a huge fan overall, although they have at least given some contracts out to SpaceX, and hopefully if Biden does sneak his way into the presidency under a dubious voting system, I'm hoping that there won't be too much of a change in direction at NASA regarding SpaceX and supporting private space companies. It may not be like that, because the head honcho there has told everyone he's going to resign if Trump doesn't get back in. So there's a lot riding on this all this business with the challenge to the electoral results and election fraud and what have you. Of course, the press, as usual, is trying to drag Rudy Giuliani through the mud. I think he's a top guy, fantastic lawyer. He defeated the mafia in New York and cleaned up the place. It's really bad what's happened in New York. It's a terrible situation there, and they've got a crappy governor and a crappy mayor, and this is the result. You're going to have more crime, and you're going to have a lot less people in the city. You're going to see the infrastructure run down, and it's going to be terrible. But I'm not going to talk mainly about America in this video. It's actually back to Victoria, and at least I can impart some good news nowadays, because the situation in Victoria has definitely improved. No more face masks, pub restrictions ease, and Christmas is on. Massive changes to coronavirus lockdown rules to be announced today. A host of coronavirus restrictions set to be eased in Victoria from tomorrow, Monday. Face masks outdoors in line to be scrapped, and sporting crowds can return. Higher limits expected at pubs, cafes and restaurants, weddings and funerals, Christmas lunch with family, back on with home gatherings, eased to 20 people. I mean, there's still plenty of restrictions there, by the way. This is not back to normal. I don't know if Victoria will ever get back to normal after this. It may be a situation where the government has centred the blood. They know they can control the populace. And Dan Andrews, especially if he's the leader, at the drop of a hat, you could be back into lockdown situation. So enjoy the freedoms while you've got them. I'm very happy that you're getting them because you certainly deserve a break. And I'm very happy for Victorians, but don't get too complacent because this may not be over. Long-suffering Victorian residents will finally see a series of social distancing restrictions eased from tomorrow after enduring one of the world's harshest coronavirus lockdowns. Premier Daniel Andrews is set to announce mandatory face masks will be scrapped outdoors, gyms can reopen, sporting crowds will be allowed to return, and up to 100 people will be permitted at pubs, cafes and restaurants. The number of guests, weddings and funerals is expected to increase to 100 people. Melbourne only emerged from the 111-day lockdown at the end of last month, with stage 4 restrictions in place for most of that time. Under stage 4 lockdown, Melburnians were banned from travelling more than 5 kilometres from their home and only permitted to 1 hour of outdoor exercise per day. I mean, these are very tough restrictions you had to go through, and I really feel sorry for you. And really, it should have all been avoided if you'd had a competent government that could do proper tracing and making sure that you didn't have a hotel where all these rules were basically flaunted and allowed the virus to break out. It's just ridiculous. But like most political leaders, Daniel Andrews refuses to take personal responsibility. It is so typical of our leaders these days. Well, they're not leaders. At the height of the month-long lockdown, daily new infections stretched beyond 700. More than 800 Victorians, mainly living in aged care facilities, also lost their lives during the crippling outbreak. The second wave of cases, which led to the shutdown, stemmed from contamination breaches within the state's hotel quarantine program for return travellers. But in 2 weeks' time, Victoria will open its borders to international arrivals once again and reinstate a hotel quarantine program, although details are yet to be announced. Well, you'd hope they'd get it right this time, but can you really trust that man? The state has not recorded a single case of COVID-19 in over 3 weeks, and there is only one active case remaining in all of Victoria. Remember, Victoria has about 6.4 million people. This is, look, it's over. They haven't just wiped out the virus. I said you can't do that. But for all intents and purposes, it is gone at this stage. With the curve now flattened, pubs, cafes and restaurants, which had been shut for months, are expected to be allowed 100 indoors and 200 people outdoors. Face masks are not believed to be required outdoors, but will be mandatory indoors. Well, that's a hassle. Again, I feel sorry for Victorians having to go through that. We don't have that up in Cairns. There's no face masks at all. It's fantastic. Cinemas and theatres will also reopen, along with real estate auctions and children's play centres. Well, you could do without the auctions, in my opinion. The prices of real estate's going up already. I mean, it needs to fan the flames. The Reserve Bank cutting interest rates was a ridiculous decision, and it's just basically to prop up real estate. I mean, I've been a beneficiary because I've got CBA shares, so they've actually responded really well. Even the ANZ ones have gone up, but I want to get rid of them for ideological grounds. Outdoor public gatherings will be eased to 50 people from tomorrow, while 10 people will be permitted to be in a home. But before December 25, it's expected at least 20 loved ones will be cleared to visit for Christmas lunch and other festive gatherings. Well, for some people that'd be quite constrictive because they'd have even larger gatherings than that. So there's still people who are going to suffer, but I guess it's better than nothing. That's all you can say, really. The sporting mad state will also be able to get back into stadiums with large events cleared to have 25% capacity. Well, that's not going to be much chop for the Boxing Day test, is it? I mean, you're going to have around 25,000 in the MCG. It'll look pretty empty, only a quarter full. and all those people missing out. It's a bit of a tragedy. Amusement parks like Luna Park and other indoor entertainment precincts can reopen from this week, along casinos, gaming rooms, museums and art galleries as well. Although the news is positive, there is still some concern the virus could return after sewage water testing revealed fragments. The State's Department of Health and Human Services said the result is unexpected given it has been about 8 weeks since anyone tested positive in the area. Residents in the Altona Meadows, Laverton, Point Cook and Sanctuary Lakes area are now being urged to get tested immediately and monitor any symptoms, no matter how mild. Oh, by the way, I know those tests too, they've had some dubious results from some of these tests. Depends what the testing regime is, but I've heard that some of these tests are only coming up about 50% accurate. So I don't know how much good they are, but again, it might be the nature of that particular test that was reported. I'm not sure, but I've got my doubts about how effective they are. The result is unexpected given it's been about 8 weeks since the last known resident in the area had COVID-19 illness or diagnosis, the DHS said. It can take several weeks for someone to stop shedding the virus. Victoria has implemented an extensive water testing strategy to detect any sign of the virus as early as possible. Although the findings are a major concern, DHHS said positive wastewater test results does not necessarily mean there is an active infection in the area. It may be due to someone with coronavirus being in the early active infectious phase, or someone who is no longer infectious continuing to shed the virus, the department said on their website. Well, we've got enough to worry about as it is. Hopefully that's just not an issue, and people can relax. I mean, you really do deserve to have some freedom back in Victoria, and seeing it's summer, I'd say that, you know, you've got to take the weather into account in this as well. It is summer, so there's obviously, the people are out and about more, which is safer, being outdoors, and just being warmer is better to fight this virus in any case. It's probably one of the reasons we've done so well here in Cairns. We have tropical weather. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to work that one out. But again, I'm talking common sense, and that seems to be something that's in short supply when it gets to a government or a bureaucracy level. I can only hope that the things do improve for you in Victoria, but while you've still got Daniel Andrews, I'd still be making contingency plans. Make sure your toilet paper supplies are well stocked, and maybe you've got some dry food you can use just in case there's panic buying, because it doesn't take much to panic people. We've seen that overseas recently. So, you know, it's crazy, but the people obviously are more sensitive to all this these days, and anything could tip them over the edge and they could go crazy and start hoarding stuff. So you just got to be aware and be vigilant. Okay, well look, that's probably enough for today. It's good that I've had 2 positive stories this weekend, so that's a nice change. So please give me thumbs up, thumbs down, and make comments on this video if you think there's anything you'd like to say. And of course, please subscribe, although again, subscriptions seem to have basically stopped in both YouTube and Bitchute, so it's a bit disappointing, but what can you do? I mean, some guys get so desperate they actually pay for subscriptions. I knew of this guy who was an English teacher in China. He had a website and he did exactly that. All of a sudden his membership jumped by a couple of thousand. He paid for it. I mean, geez, some people are pretty desperate, but you know, it takes all kinds, as they say. Anyway, have a great weekend, what's left of it, and look after yourselves, and like I say, don't let those toilet paper supplies drop too far, because you just never know when the crazies will be out in the stores again. So that's it for today. I'll catch up with you probably on I might catch up with you tomorrow. We'll see how we go.